Today, President Obama spells out his long-term plan for chipping away at America's mounting debt. He'll brief congressional leaders this morning before the speech, including Maryland Congressman Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, who joins us now from Capitol Hill. Welcome to the program. First off, I want to ask you about the budget deal that's already been reached. You've said that it was that basically the president, Mr. Reid, made a bad situation less bad. Not exactly a ringing endorsement, but you're going to vote for it.
Well, on the CR, I'm still looking at it, and I think our members are still looking at it, but clearly we want to keep the government running. Clearly we needed to reach compromise, and I think the President and Mr. Reid tried to reach the best compromise that was possible.
You know, that's sort of looking backward. That's at 2011. To keep the government going right now. The president today at 1 o'clock is going to look forward and lay out a strategy for long-term getting things under control, getting this country to live within its means and begin to chip away at that national debt. What do you want to hear from him? What's going to be politically palatable for you and your allies?
Well, my expectation is the president is going to talk about essentially what the bipartisan commission recommended, and that is moving forward in a balanced way so that we continue to invest in education, innovation, and in our infrastructure to grow our economy. But at the same time, I think he's going to look at making substantial cuts in spending over the long term. The commission recommended don't make substantial cuts now while the economy is struggling to right itself and create jobs, but long term, get our budget deficit under control. I think he's going to do a balanced approach. The problem with the Republican proposal is that it's not balanced. It's all, frankly, on the backs of either seniors or on the middle class, working class Americans. And we don't think it will work any more than that same proposal worked in the 80s or in the 2000s, where we created significant deficit. Under Reagan, 200% increase in the deficit, in the debt. And under George Bush, 115% increase in the national debt, as opposed to Bill Clinton that had a balanced budget and didn't borrow money during the last 4 years. So I expect the president to present a balanced program which cuts spending, looks at all elements of the budget, including defense, including entitlements, and including tax expenditures, which I think will be a fair bit.
And others have said tax reform is pretty critical here. And you know, even a few years ago, you couldn't talk about comprehensive tax reform. It was like health care reform, except we got health care reform. The country did have health care reform. Maybe tax reform is something that you could follow the bipartisan approach and try to, the commission approach, and try to get some sort of tax reform. Meantime, on the right, they say, come on, don't raise taxes for the rich. And even budget experts say just raising taxes on the rich isn't going to be enough.
Well, I think the experts are right on just raising taxes on the rich is not going to be enough. It has to be a balanced program. I expect the president to present such a program as the commission did. But the Republicans simply let the rich, the wealthy of us, off the hook as if they didn't have to participate in helping right this economy. The fact of the matter is the commission said it's got to be a balanced approach, cut spending, look at all areas of spending, but also ask people to pay a fair share. The Republican budget reaches its $4 trillion in cuts by essentially eliminating Medicare as we know it, very substantially undermine Medicaid, which seniors will find very difficult because that's the major funder of long-term care for seniors.
Let me ask you about, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
And in addition to that, given large tax cuts to people who are making a lot of money, particularly the oil companies. So it's not balanced. I don't think it'll work, and it's not going to receive bipartisan support in the House.
Let me ask you about Medicare and Medicaid, because the president's going to lay out what the White House is billing as strengthening but reducing costs in Medicare and Medicaid. Progressives see this as basically progressives are very concerned about any changes to entitlements. How does the president reform these systems without alienating his base and liberals?
Well, I think the president is going to look at entitlements somewhat like the commission looked at entitlements. The issue is restraining the growth in spending. In terms of Medicare and Medicaid, of course, we took a substantial step when we adopted the Affordable Care Act, the health care reform, which will, in fact, bring down health care costs, which will, therefore, bring down the costs of Medicare and Medicaid. In addition to that, I think the president's going to be addressing additional ways that we can constrain costs without, however, undermining the benefits that are available to seniors and to people on Medicaid. We think that's critically important. Those programs need to be available for people. We need to have a healthy nation, and that's one way we're going to get there.
All right.
But as opposed to simply changing it and passing the cost along to seniors and those on Medicaid.
Congressman Steny Hoyer, thank you so much for joining us. You'll be meeting with the president and some other important members of Congress as well to talk about this before the president's speech. Look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine.
All right, Kieran.
Up next on American Morning, find out